Okay, guys, more or less than a year ago, we're going to play a game. We're going to look at some core suburbs across Sydney. We're going to stick to the entry-level price range in some of these core suburbs, and we're going to tell you how they've performed exactly over a year. Stay tuned. Billy Bob, the old man in a young man's body. How are you this morning?
I'm good. We're reporting on behalf of the first home buyers and parents, investors that are trying to break into the entry-level price point. And it's pretty competitive out there. I think these numbers are going to help people with their decision making for the next 6 to 12 months.
And sometimes this creeps, prices down, prices up. You look back 6 months later and you go, or 3 months later, you're going, is this my imagination or is the market doing this? So we wanted to bring you the live information fresh from RP data and talk about exactly what suburbs around Sydney are actually exactly to the dollar and the percentage doing.
Yep. Now, there's also another number I'd love you to keep an eye on when we bring up these little tables. Look at the number of sales. I like looking at the number of sales, the volume in each of these suburbs, because more or less stock will influence price as well. And as we move into spring, we're seeing more stock now than we have done for the last 12 months.
Yeah, that's good observation, Billy, the old man, the young man's body. We do a metric of what's on the market on realestate.com. So there's 100,000 properties in the Northern Beaches approximately, at full stop. And at any one time, we will witness a certain amount for sale on realestate.com. Now that number has changed. It started, it hovers at, I'll give you a year by year blow. At these times of the year, sometimes we've seen 1,100 and sometimes we've seen it as low as 600 at this time of the year. And at the moment, we're seeing it 800. So it's doing typical spring, sort of more stock on the market, but it's still pretty low, which is good for capital growth.
Yeah. So let's get into some of these suburbs and let's show you what's happening out there. Suburb number 1, Manly. I was talking with a client yesterday at an appraisal, talking about Manly, talking about the entry-level price points. This is just apartments, and we can't filter just the 600, just the 700 price point, but you can see the curve. And what you'll find throughout the segment is it's fairly consistent across all of these different suburbs. That's 12 months.
Okay, 1 year. Okay, that's interesting. So from a year ago, what was that price at the beginning of the little graph there?
Sitting just under 1.7 million.
For a unit?
Yeah, which is astonishing. But here's where it can be skewed, right? It's not to say Manly is an unrealistic suburb, for a first-time buyer. It's the number of sales. Sorry, I think that might be. Give me a sec. Number of sales in Manly. Let me just get my phone. Can skew it. Like if you've got a suburb with $7 million apartment sales, it's going to skew the data. There's no doubt about it. So you've got to be careful and sort of look at
look deeper.
Real estate.com and filter backwards, because that'll help you with your search.
So that's pretty interesting. So prices, even though the rates have been going up for a couple of years now, it's just weird that prices aren't going down. It still continuously shocks me. What other suburbs we got?
On to the next. DY. And we are going to get out of the Northern Beaches in just a moment. DY is a good one. I love DY because it does...
Up again?
Yeah, it does.
So
it
what
does
was it? What was it down to, and what's it up to on there, like proportionately?
Give me a sec. It was at 950, and it's now over $1 million.
about 5%. It's pretty
Yeah.
interesting, guys. I'm surprised. Now, I do have to say, what sparked this today was to get into DY. This is a median price, so don't be too spooked. But to get a two-bedder in DY, you were doing it for about $750 about a year ago. Probably now it's going to be over $850. So I was like, how the hell did that happen? And when did that happen? It moved. What other suburbs in Sydney we're looking at, Billy Bob?
St. Leonard's. For a year, I've got a
Yeah.
client that's looking in both DY and St. Leonard's at the moment. Just look how volatile that is. Let me just take you back to DY quickly. It's pretty gradual. St. Leonard's really has been a bit of an up and down. And again, I encourage just to look at the number of sales and the price points. These suburbs are selling. Because something like DY, there's not much, entry level units. They're about 500,000-600,000, on the really smaller side, and most are trading around 700,000-800,000. So there's not much.
So we're still, looks like, 1 year St. Leonard's fairly level. What other suburbs?
We've got Botany.
Oh, Botany
Yep.
took a hit for some of the year, but it came back strong.
Yeah. To give you an idea, that was Manly, 279 sales.
Yes.
St. Leonard's, so just have a look at those red and greens. That's sort of pointing us in the right direction. Parramatta.
Oh.
Started at 605,000. Now it's sitting, so almost back to where we left off.
Same.
Yeah, really interesting.
Any other suburbs?
0.7%. Liverpool?
Up.
Yeah, up considerably.
Wow. So going from what to what?
It's up from 1.12 to 1.2. Oh, yeah. It's actually not. It looks a lot. Sorry, that's the number of sales. You can see number of sales is up. Sorry, they didn't have the data available for the amount, but there's more stock.
Oh, false, misleading, and deceptive conduct.
More stock on the market to the tune. Look at the number of sales in the suburb. Over 1,200 in a year.
That must have been a lot of new unit blocks being released.
Yeah, that's astonishing.
So to give you an idea, Sydney CBD sees about 500 or 600 sales a year. So this has done twice as much as Sydney CBD for residential apartments. That's an astonishing number for Liverpool. Astonishing.
What's your punt? Next 6 months in this same price point, where do you think it's going to go?
Oh, look, I think there's going to be mixed reactions from people when I say this, but I think we're definitely up. I think it's the opposite to a bubble bursting. It's a bubble getting blown up. I just think there's going to be really good capital growth in the next 12 months. I estimate we'll see 10 to 15% in affordable suburbs. So I think houses, we're not going to see 5%. They'll just level out, say 0 to 5 at best. But I think units in affordable suburbs, I think we're going to see 10 to 15%. It just makes sense that people support affordable properties with their budget because people are strapped.
Yeah. Here's what
Interest
I
rates are
find.
high.
When those rates went up, it really put a hurdle in between making moves because of finance and because of servicing. So when rates went from 2% to 6%, their borrowing capacity was halved and almost halved again. It went to absolute, nothing compared to what they had options before. We're going to see the reverse effect when rates come down. People will have the option to move, and they will make the jump. We've even got friends and family locally that have got the deposit ready, but they can't get the funding. As soon as that borrowing capacity changes, they're ready to go.
And also, I think there's a pent-up demand. Like if there's not a lot of transactions in the area for years and years and years, we saw this from COVID. If there's, where people abstained, it was a bit of a release valve when they just decided to do a deal. A couple of years after COVID, and I think people have abstained a little bit the last couple of years. I think, look, we'll wait and see what happens, and people will get to a stage. But I don't think they're going to be splurging on big ticket items. I think they'll be splurging on entry level properties. But do not forget, guys and girls, we are, for instance, in a lot of suburbs in Sydney with units, we're still not back to where we were.
Yeah.
So people are saying, yes, we're saying capital growth for 24 months, blah, 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 but we're still not back to where we were. We haven't caught up from where we lost. Like if you look at DY, for example, I don't know if you can see this. Hey, where'd that go, soldier? Okay.
Yep.
Like we're not back to where we were. Yes, we're on the rise, but we're not
halfway.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting, but that's the property market today. That's what someone like little Johnny can expect if he's going out to buy a property, as to a bit of a temperature and what's happening out there. And I think if you can afford it, definitely motivate yourself and get out there and do it, because there's capital growth there in affordable price ranges.
Too right. And hopefully these rates are not going to get any steeper. So if you can afford it now, you can borrow now. I think you've weathered the heart of the storm.
Yeah, some of the data that came through from government was not beefy, or was even a little bit scary. But I think they'll support some interest rates cuts on the back of the data that's come through in the last month or two. So yeah, it's good news for interest rates.
Good news for first-time buyers. There you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Billy Bob.
See ya.
See you guys. Cheers.